Hello everyone, Tuesday night talk. Today we are receiving Erman Aydöner. I hope I pronounce it the right way. Full disclosure to start, Erman will record the answers that I will ask separately, but instead of putting a blank screen with written question, I prefer to ask him recording this question in the first place. If you like this content, please smash the like button, consider subscribing, it helps the growth of this channel, and let us know in the comments if you agree with this comment. Erman recently published a book about frequently asked questions on mastering. He's a sound engineer based in Istanbul, Turkey. He has been doing mastering for almost a decade now. And his book is absolutely interesting because in a first part you have musicians, producers, sound engineers giving their views about what they expect about mastering, how they consider the mastering process as a final stage in the sound chain, so you can share or disagree with their opinions. And then we have a series of questions that I won't spoil now, but that are absolutely interesting, like, is mastering always necessary? What are the preferred features of a DAW for mastering? Is it possible to do mastering with headphones? What is loudness? Very important question. And what is first to use, equalizer or compressor? Linear phase, others? Very good question indeed. And I don't spoil all the question, but there is something that I find very relevant and difficult. A question that can lead to World War III on Facebook group and forums for 30 years now. Which one is better, Windows or Mac OS? So I find the ability to face such a question very interesting and brave. So hello Erman. My first question to you is going to be, why did you choose to become a mastering engineer instead of becoming, for example, live sound engineer or mixing producer? What did you came to that choice?
Hi to you and everyone watching. Thank you for having me as your guest. It's a great pleasure. The first professional work I did was a mastering job. But actually, in the beginning, I was not only a mastering engineer. I was also working as a recording engineer, and I recorded many albums for a long time period. But I'm a bit of peaceful mind, and mastering seemed much more peaceful to me. So after a while, I decided to go into that way. On the other hand, live sound is a bit of different thing, and my ears are priceless. I don't want to lose them. But working as a live sound engineer leads you to suffer from hearing loss. I don't want it. And I see that working in both environments is like being a bit of disrespectful to studio clients. And I don't suggest newcomers to go into both ways. I think choosing one way is the path to success.
How would you define mastering? My question is difficult and simple at the same time. Most of the time on Facebook group or forums, people think that mastering is about raising the overall level of the sound production. It's also about finding consistency inside of the different tracks of an album, but I let you answer about this. But what I think also is we don't do exactly mastering in the sense that we craft the very physical master that will be used inside a factory. Some vinyl sound engineer who make mastering do this, but not all of them. But when it's about digital format, indeed, we cannot do that. So would you agree also to say that, in fact, we do pre-mastering rather than mastering as in the absolute sense? And so, again, how would you define mastering?
As a common answer to your question, I can define mastering as the last step of music production. It's the bridge between studio and listener's ear. We have a two-step process. The first step is creative process, and the second one is a quality control process. The first process, creative one, is about making helping the mix and music sound as best as possible on every platform or device. And the second process is quality control, which is about checking the music for unwanted noises such as clicks, pops, or distortions, and proofing the masters for the best playback on every device or platform. For the second part of your question, I can say the mastering name comes from the old vinyl days. It was the cutting engineer who was responsible to cut the lacquer masters, which is used for mass production of vinyl. They were preparing the parts, the masters. We call masters as parts. And it's the same today in digital age. We are still preparing parts, which are digital files, and they are used for mass production or streaming on platforms. It's the same today.
I suppose you work with professional studios, very premium production, and you know their habits. You know how they EQ such things, or which kind of effects, compression, reverb they are going to use. But I suppose also that you work with small budget production home studios sometimes, and I wanted to know what is the common mistake that you have to fix as a mastering sound engineer.
The most common problem I believe all my colleagues deal these days is the problem on lower frequencies. I can't call it as a mistake because I don't think it's caused by the person mixing the record. I believe this is caused by the cheap listening systems and acoustically bad designed rooms. As you know, recordings and mixing can be done with very cheap equipment at homes, and as a result, we deal with these problems. The second common problem these days is the bad balance of lead vocals in a mix. I believe a good mixing engineer has to balance the lead vocals well in a mix, and lead vocals has to be the best pronounced and the best balanced instrument in the mix. And I believe good mixing engineer is the one who can do that. It requires lots of, maybe hours of vocal automation, vocal writing in a mix, but many people don't do that these days.
Next question, what is the amount of vinyl mastering you are doing? I'm very curious to know if there is a market for vinyl in your country. And do you think that musician and audience are really well informed of the limitation of this format?
Of course, there is a market for vinyl in Turkey, but I have to say that it's a very small market. And most of the vinyl record buyers are hi-fi lovers or people that are into DJing stuff. I have some clients who want digital masters prepared for vinyl cutting, but it's not a common thing too. For vinyl cutting, you need to have a machine called cutting lathe. Cutting lathes are very old machines. They are not produced for a very long time. and maintaining those machines is very hard. As far as I know, we don't have any cutting lathes in Turkey, and production plants do not produce vinyl discs in Turkey. So the process is we are sending our digital masters to foreign countries like UK, United States, or Germany, and the engineers cut the discs in there and send our discs to plants, and the process is like that.
For the last decade, what are the most striking changes in mastering that occurred according to your personal experience?
I think the two biggest changes are the growing use of digital audio processors and the target of recorded music. In the first decade of 2000s, it was very hard to find high-quality plugins. Audio plugins were not as good as they are today. First rule of mastering is do no harm, so you have to select your tools very carefully to not to harm the mix. Today, it's very easy to find high-quality plugins, and you can work in the box only using digital audio processors. I have many hardware choices in my studio, and even I sometimes work with only plugins in the box. The second change is about the formats and the target of the recorded music. 10 years ago, CDs were still around and the music was mostly prepared for radios or broadcasts. Today it's changed to streaming, and the formats has changed to digital audio files.
Next question, is there a piece of hardware or software that is a game changer in your sound process inside your sound chain? And by the way, you can also maybe explain to us what is the equipment you are using inside your studio. It's all informations indeed are very welcome.
The most important gear I have is my ears, and they are the real game changer for me. I can work with any tool which have enough quality as far as I have healthy ears. Of course, I have some gear which I don't want to work without. I have been using the same listening system for almost 10 years now, and I'm very used to their sound. Also, cable makes a very big difference, and I use cables from Sommer Cable from Germany. And analog to digital and digital to analog conversion is a very big part, very important part of mastering setups. I find, to my ears, merging technologies from Switzerland makes the best converters, and I use their converters in my setup. And Pyramix, which is a product of merging technologies, is my main digital audio workstation. Of course, as you see, I have some hardware choices, and also I have some plugin choices, which are mostly from IK Multimedia, iZotope, McDSP, or some others, and they are on all of my projects every day.
More and more, we see streaming platform like SoundCloud or Spotify releasing some kind of plugin or online mastering automatic systems, automatic AI that correct the sound. What do you think about that? And are you not afraid that eventually the power of streaming platform will narrow the possibilities of sound production as a whole and for mastering in particular?
I think the growing use of those services shows us the importance of mastering for people. People using those services believe that their music has to be mastered by professionals, but most of them don't have enough money to hire a professional. I believe human input is very important for any part of music production. AI mastering cannot discuss ideas and give opinions about your music, and cannot be long-term friends with clients as I always do. I believe AI mastering in long term will only serve for cheap and low quality productions.
And my last question, as always, is as far as you can remember in your recollection when you were a child, a teenager, what is your oldest memory linked to music? You mentioned in your biography that you were pretending to accompany orchestra with a guitar-like toy instrument at weddings, what is a very nice memory, but maybe you can share with us another memory linked to your passion for music.
It was all about my family. My mom, my brother, and my uncle were huge music fans. My brother was bringing cassettes to home, and thanks to him, I was having chance to listen to many kinds of music. Then he started playing guitars, and I was admiring him, and I wanted to play like him too. He was taking me to rehearsal studios. I was accompanying him by playing drums. Then my mom bought me my first guitar. Its brand was Fair Lady. I still have that old guitar, and she is a real fair lady. Actually, I wanted to be a rock guitarist, but as you see, I'm an engineer now, and I'm very happy about it. Thank you for having me as your guest. It was a great pleasure. I'm sending my best wishes from Turkey to all your watchers, and see you soon.
Thank you very much to be with us, and a huge thanks everyone for watching. Consider subscribing, drop a like, and I will see you on this channel very soon.